Presenting
The Complete
Orson Welles
and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London.
as the third man.
Stand by.
We'll be on the air in 15 seconds, Mr. Wells. Yes, I know.
Stand by, everybody.
Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel, Dracula.
What evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Hello world, welcome to The Complete Orson Welles, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. This podcast will feature various classic radio programs ranging mostly from 1936 to 1952 that Orson either produced and directed, was featured on, or starred as a guest. If you enjoy my podcast, you can subscribe to receive notifications of new posts. Subscribing is free and only takes a moment. New episodes are posted weekly. If inclined, please leave a rating and or review on your preferred podcast service. Thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the genius of Mr. Welles. This week we have the Orson Welles Show, aka Lady Esther. 2 episodes from the Orson Welles Show. They are both partial episodes. The full episodes are not available. The first one is Symptoms of Being 35, which stars Joseph Cotten, December 8th, 1941. I'm skipping the 9th episode because the 9th episode is a Christmas episode and I'll hear that later in the year. The 10th episode is There Are Frenchmen and Frenchmen, which stars Rita Hayworth, and that one aired December 29th, 1941.
This is Bill Slocum Jr. in San Francisco. Radio stations in this area have been ordered off the air by the United States Army. They've given us no reason for this, but we've not been broadcasting from this area for about 5 minutes. There's a story in this area that planes have been sighted off the Golden Gate, some 50 of them. However, there's much speculation that it's merely an air raid warning workout. However, the Presidio, the fort in this town, which is responsible for all the soldiers who are sent to the Far East, as well as a job of guarding San Francisco, is in complete blackout. Daly City, a town 10 miles south of San Francisco, is also blacked out. The ferry building siren has just gone off. It blew for about 1 minute and then stopped. This siren is a warning to all the people in this area in the Red Cross or who are veterans of foreign wars to report to previously appointed stations for any possible emergency. There's no further news here in San Francisco. The town itself is very quiet. The lights are lit in San Francisco proper. There is no panic of any sort. In fact, there is much speculation as to whether or not this is a workout for the people or not. However, we have been unable to find out anything from the United States Army, and there is nothing at all in this area to indicate that there are planes over the city of San Francisco. And now, for Orson Welles and the Lady Esther program, we take you to Hollywood.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, bringing you another radio show for Lady Esther. Several minutes of this program's time were required for a news broadcast, so we've changed to a little different show and put off the one we were going to do for a couple of weeks. Our first item isn't a story at all, it's just commentary. So I think most of us could use a little laughter, and we hope this will amuse you. It's by Ring Lardner, and is our idea of just about the funniest piece ever written on its subject. Joseph Cotten is the star of this section of the entertainment, today being his birthday. We decided to let him take over and talk about himself for a while.
Good evening. This is Joseph Cotten. Well, 35 is how young I am, no matter how old I look.
Uh-oh.
I can't figure why you think I'd lie about it, Orson, like I was trying to pose as a boy wonder or something.
Uh-oh.
When a man has got a legal wife and 4 no 100ths children, what does he care if he's 35 or double that amount? Don't be silly. But now in regard to this matter of my being 35 years old. Am I still on the air, Orson?
Now go right ahead anyway, Joe.
I just can't see how more than only a few people would be interested in this because there's only a few people that is this old.
As a matter of fact, Joe, pretty nearly everybody in the world is either 35 or a few months one way or the other.
Are you sure about that?
If you don't believe me, go and look it up in a book.
I have. I looked it up in the encyclopedia, and there was nothing in there like you said. But I found out a whole lot of other things, like facts and figures, which all kinds of people are always saying should speak for themselves. So I will let them.
In the first place, most people die when they are 1 year old. The first 10 years is the most fatal. But if 100,000 reach the age of 10, then 749 probably will die the next year.
Now that the figures have spoken, I'll do a little talking. If you reach 59, you can count on living to about 73, providing you ain't one of the 749 that dies between 10 and 11. So a person is a sucker to try and take care of himself at my age. And from now on, I am going to be a loose fish and run wild. But that is neither here nor there. The idea is to tell how it feels to be my age. And I may as well get to it. Well, in the first place, speaking only for myself, I don't know how the other 35-year-olders feels, and I don't care. Probably the most of them don't feel near as old as your hero. Laughter is supposed to keep a man young, but if it's forced laughter, it works the opposite. When a guy is named Joe and is expected to split their sides every time somebody asks,
Hello, Joe. What do you know?
well, it can't help from telling on you. Or it don't lighten the weight of the years none to have to snicker every time they say,
Don't pick on Cotton because he's a bale of fun.
Well, I can at least state that being 35 don't feel nothing like being under 30. Under 30, you think home is a dump where you can't order what you want to eat. And when you can't think of no reason to go out, home is where you have to sit around and wait for 9 o'clock so as you can begin to talk about going to bed. But at 35, you spell home with a big H. It's where you can take off your shoes. It's where you can have more soup. It's where you don't have anything to say when there's nothing to say. It's where you don't have to listen. It's where you can pan everybody without it going no further. It's where they know you like donuts and what you think of a banana. When you was 29, you didn't care for the band to play Home Sweet Home. It was old stuff and a rotten tune anyway. Now you hope they won't play it either. It's a pretty tune, but it makes you bust out crying. Another thing that comes to me all of a sudden was they used to call me aside and whisper.
I've got a TL for you. Gertie thinks your ears are immense.
Now they don't say nothing about my natural charms no more. The only compliments I had for a long while was...
Why, Joe, what a pretty tie you've got.
Well, I seen then that I wasn't no longer a juvenile man when that began to happen. And I guess maybe it hurt at first. But it's like falling hair or the telephone service. When you lived with it a while, you don't mind. It's like the last time I was down in Smoky Ordinary, Virginia, where I got a young and beautiful sister-in-law. When it comes time to part from she and her husband, she...
Goodbye, Joe. And kiss the babies and sister for me.
Well, I thought it was pretty nice. Till I looked at her husband to see how he took it. He took it without batting an eye. To him, it was like as if she was kissing an old cab horse on a bet for some benefit. And when I had left and they was alone together, instead of leaping at her throat with a terrible curse, he probably says,
Janie, you're a good game girl.
All in all, when you get hardened to it, there's many advantages in reaching your dotage. when there's 7 passengers for a 7-passenger car, it's never you that has to sit in one of them little torture seats. And when your brother-in-law is here on a visit and the missus thinks it would be nice to have a fire in the fireplace, you ain't the one that's got to ruin his clothes. As for general symptoms of 35 and vicinity, as I have found them, the following points may interest science. Symptom number 1. The patient sometimes finds himself and one lady the only people left at the table. There seems to be nothing for it but to get up and dance. You start and the music stops. And the young buddies on the floor clap their hands for an encore. The patient claps his hands, too, but not very loud, and he hopes to high heaven the leader will take it in a joking way. Symptom number 2. For some reason, it's necessary to find some old papers, and going through the trunk, the patient runs across a bunch of souvenirs and keepsakes like...
Dear Joe, I am sorry I can't go to the May Festival in South Bend with you, but you waited so long to ask me that I thought you were mad with me, and so I told Johnny Price I'd go with him. Please don't be mad with me. Your loving classmate, Violet.
And so the patient says, why keep this junk? And he dumps it in the wastebasket. Symptom number 3. The invalid goes to a ball game, and along comes the last half of the 14th inning, and the score is 1-1, and the first guy up makes a base hit. Patient happens to look at his watch.
Hey, where you going, Joe?
It's 11 minutes to 6, and if I leave the park right now, I can catch the 6:27 train home.
The game will be over in a few minutes. Wait and take the next one. Your wife won't mind if you're late.
Without no hesitation, the patient leaves the park right away and makes the 6:27. Symptom number 4. The subject is woke up at 3 a.m. by the fire whistle. He sniffles. But he can't smell no smoke. He thinks, well, it ain't our house, and goes back to sleep. Well, these are the few of the symptoms as I have observed them, and I say I am speaking for just myself, and maybe I am a peculiar case. There may not be another 35-year-older in the world that is affected the same way. Take Jess Willard, for instance. He was around 35 when Dempsey knocked him down 7 times in 1 round. Dempsey wouldn't do that to me. Not 7 times he wouldn't. On the other hand, they might be 2 or 3 brother eagles in the mediocre 30s that is even more mildewed than me. But I don't know them. One thing I do know, no lecture of this kind would be complete without shooting a few words of unwanted advice at my youngsters and betters. For instance, John D. told the boys how to build a fortune. So it looks like it was up to me to tell them how to get to be what I am, 35 years old. Well, my lads, there's 3 rules that I made and have stuck to them. And I think you will find they'll bring you the same results. The first rule is, don't die the first year. Rule number 2, don't pick a quarrel with a man like Dempsey. And the third rule is, marry a girl like Sue. In explanation of that last rule, I will say that the one I married ain't Sue. But the name don't make no difference if she is the right kind of a gal.
You've been listening to the first part of our Lady Esther program, which was made up of a little divertisement entitled Symptoms of Being 35. The voice was the voice of Joe Cotton, but the words were the words of Ring Lardner. Needless to say, Joe's own private, personal age has nothing to do with the case one way or the other. Off stage, he's really and truly one of the liveliest young fellows in the Mercury, for his age. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I do really think you're going to like the second half of our program. It's certainly unusual. I think it's quite appropriate. But now, first, here's a word from Lady Esther.
Have you ever noticed how much keener your sense of touch is in the dark? When you close your eyes, for example, doesn't your sense of touch become sharper, keener? Try it and see. Just close your eyes and let your fingers move slowly over your face, around your eyes and nose, over your cheeks, across your chin. Now, what do you feel as your fingers touch your skin? Do you feel a lovely smoothness, like the soft touch of satin? Or does your skin feel a little dry and flaky here and there? Do you feel any little bumps? You know, if your skin feels rough and uneven to your fingers, it may be that the mouths of the pores are clogged. It may be that dirt, dust, and stale makeup are crowded into the mouths of the pores like tiny corks. Now, this condition is almost always due to some fault of skin care. Perhaps the cream you use doesn't really remove the dirt from the mouths of the pores. But I can promise you, you will never have that difficulty when you use Lady Esther face cream, because it cleanses the skin so thoroughly. But Lady Esther cream does far more than just cleansing cream alone. Does more than just a cold cream or foundation cream. It does all that these creams do and more. You see, it not only cleanses the skin, softens the skin, and relieves dryness, but most important, it leaves your skin so smooth that powder and makeup go on beautifully. So if you want a cream that ends the need for all other creams and lotions, a cream that helps soften and smooth your skin after the very first application, try Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, bringing you another radio show for Lady Esther. Tonight we present Miss Rita Hayworth in There Are Frenchmen and Frenchmen, a not very high comedy dealing with two rather closely related institutions, love and wrestling. Lovers will find nothing in the story to offend them, but I'm not sure about the wrestlers, not sure at all. Wrestlers are notoriously sensitive people. Those of you who've seen a professional wrestling match will certainly agree with me. In the ring, these huge-muscled supermen suffer constantly. They moan and howl, stretch beseeching arms to the heavens, weep great salt tears, appeal with broken voice to the referee, and tear their hair and beat the mat in an ecstasy of agony. Taken as a class, wrestlers are undoubtedly the most high-strung, the most profoundly emotional of mortals. Either that or they're the greatest hams of our time. I hesitate to say which. What I can say is that the great names of professional wrestling are as much a part of our country and customs as a hamburger with onions. So I hope our story has nothing in it that would displease Strangler Lewis, Zabisco, Bronco Nagurski, Yukon Jake, Jumpin' Joe Savoldi, Man Mountain Dean, Jagat Singh, the mysterious Chief Bambu Tabu, or any of the others of those distinguished gentlemen of the wrestling profession. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are Frenchmen and Frenchmen.
In the United States of America, in the territory of Oklahoma, dwells a beautiful female named Ona Birdsong, who is the subject of this story. I am Akil Labussel, a teacher in a small school, quiet and ancient. I, too, am quiet, though not ancient. I was resting content in my school when my chief, Monsieur Boncheval, came to me.
Professor Labussel?
Yes, Professor Boncheval.
Would you like to go to the United States?
United States?
Yes, surprise.
You could knock me over with an eclair.
An exchanging of professors has been arranged. They send us an American teacher for a year, and we send them one of us.
Oh?
Now, Hartwell University is an institution of co-education. 2,000 young ladies.
What? 2,000
yes.
young ladies?
Oh, yes. Labussel, you are the youngest on the staff. You have no wife, no family. that I comprehend maybe certain unofficial attachments.
I hope you do not suggest...
Monsieur is a Frenchman.
You will pardon me if I say that sounds like a smug city joke.
Oh, perhaps it does, but I am from Paris.
I am from a small village.
Well, I am not going to write your biography.
No Parisian could. You of Paris see life only as a farce in which one runs in and out of many doors, pursued by angry husbands. You may not know it, monsieur, but there are Frenchmen and Frenchmen.
Oh, that may be, La Bousselle. But you do know the English.
Not to use, only well enough to teach.
You are the man, La Bousselle. It is for France.
When I reached America, I was ill. The sea had been most discontented. On the boat, I read about the Hartwell University in Oklahoma, to which I was destined. I am by nature the mildest of men, and within me dwells an illogical, a primitive dread of Red Indians. Conceive then my horror when I learned that this Oklahoma was in Indian territory. All too soon, I arrived. And as I descended from my train in Oklahoma, there bounded at me a tallish female figure in well-cut trousers and snug sweater.
I'm Ona Birdsong, acting dean of the school.
Charmed. She squeezed my hand like a grape in a wine press.
Come with me.
But certainly. It is not my habit to scrutinize closely any woman, but this one was beautiful.
Musu!
She was a goddess straight from a bronze coin of ancient Greece.
Musu!
You address me?
Sure. Get in the sedan. I'm going to drive you.
Thank you. Mademoiselle is very young to be a dean.
Oh, I'm just pinch hitting while the regular dean is away. My real job is instructor in physical education. First, you must see our new golf course. What's your handicap, Musu?
Timidity.
Cracking smart already, eh? Play tennis?
I have never touched a mallet.
Ride?
No.
Row?
No, neither.
Swim?
No.
Run?
No.
Box? Fence? Wrestle?
None of them.
Stop shaking your head. What do you do?
I read.
Haven't you any interest in sport?
I have never witnessed any sort of athletic game. I hope never to do so. She looked at me as if I were a worm she had found in her salad. All the time her sedan, a very unpleasant name to a Frenchman, hurled through traffic like a javelin. This recklessness caused the car to brush the buttons on the tunic of a giant gendarme. My teeth were chattering and limbs trembling. Next to Red Indians, I dread policemen most, and he was both. But I did my best. Big Chief, pale-face, heap sorry, bump with the devil wagon.
What's the idea?
Hi, Doug.
Hi.
Oh, this is Musu La Bousselle. This is my friend, Douglas Horsetail, Musu.
How do you do, Monsieur Horsetail?
Howdy.
I hear you're quitting the force, Doug.
Yeah, no future. I'm busting into the wrestling racket.
Good for you.
I'll be seeing you.
Notice his physique, Musu?
Reminds one of a total pole.
All-American, 3 years straight for Hartwell. I'm glad he's giving up this cop's job. He ought to make a great wrestler. Say, what else are you scared of besides cops?
Indians, especially Indians.
Scared of me?
Certainly not.
My grandfather was an Indian.
Oh? Oh?
Forget it. There are Indians and Indians.
Here I must confess that did women excite me, Aki La Bousselle, she, Ona Birdsong, would be the one. Not so much for a conversation. No. This acting dean was a person most spectacular in to continue with my story. We were, as I say, in her automobile. She drove well. Her trouser pants, as I have said, were well tailored. I have not mentioned her ankles, so slim. Her throat swan-like, her ear shell-like, her teeth pearl-like, her...
Try to get on with the story. Mademoiselle.
Yes, Musu?
This is so beautiful, mademoiselle. So classic, so severe, these halls of study. I shall look forward to spending my time in them.
I dare say. They're sorority houses.
Oh, pardon.
Take a little tip, Musu. Watch your step around here.
I shall try to be most discerning.
May I be frank?
Please.
Well, we don't go in for indoor men. But some of these co-eds think any guy's sophisticated who doesn't wear overalls on weekdays. You're from Paris, Musu, and they think anybody who's been to Kansas City is a globetrotter. Understand?
I'm afraid I do. Rest tranquille, mademoiselle. I am a scholar, not a bluebeard. Of Mademoiselle Birdsong, I saw much. Daily, she drove me to and from the campus. My academic labors were of the simplest. I held French classes in a hall so huge there was a loudspeaker on my desk, and through it I instructed my charges on how to say, "The pen of my uncle is on the table of my aunt." And those other gems of speech found only in exercise books. Although my first class was small, attendance grew till after a few weeks the auditorium was filled. I could not resist mentioning this proof of my skill to Miss Birdsong.
They're mostly girls, aren't they?
It so happens, it seems to me, many more young ladies than young gentlemen desire to acquire the French. One wonders why.
Does one? Do you mean to tell me you don't know the answer?
No.
You'll find out.
I found out. One day I asked an impudent young lady named Sally Wayne a question. Mademoiselle Wayne, translate for me, please. Où est le grand livre de monsieur? Which, of course, means where is my sister's big book. Mademoiselle Wayne, will you translate this sentence for me, please?
Me?
Please translate to le grand livre de monsieur.
It's grand to live in a sewer.
Mademoiselle Wayne, please see me in my office after class.
Why, certainly, Professor.
No other girl I called on that day gave me a correct answer. After class, Mademoiselle Wayne entered my office and sat with downcast eyes while I lectured her strongly.
Scold me some more.
This is a college, mademoiselle, not a kindergarten. Your conduct is that of a naughty child who should be spanked.
Oh, Professor, you wouldn't spank me.
Get away from me. Go away. Remove yourself.
I thought you cared.
Name of a name. How can you have such fantastic notions?
I do. For you.
Stop these noises, please.
All the other girls were so jealous because you kept me after school.
Please, mademoiselle.
It made me hope that maybe I was the one you really cared for.
My dear child, you must desist from these outcries. People are all about us. They will think abominations.
Let them think. I'm not ashamed of my love.
Nonsense, I won't tolerate this.
You think she's cute, don't you?
Who?
What the girls say is true. Oh, you have fallen for her.
What? Who?
Minnie Ha-Ha.
Minnie who?
Ona Birdsong.
What?
I know, you love her. We were talking last night at the pie house about the way you look at her.
What a libel. I think you should go now.
All right. But I'm warning you. You'll never get to first base with her.
Will Professor LaBucelle get to first base with Ona Birdsong? Does Professor LaBucelle know what first base is? Stay tuned to this program for the answer to these exciting questions. I think I ought to mention here that Rita Hayworth is enacting the role of the acting dean, with your obedient servant supporting her as the professor. Right now, here's a word from Lady Esther.
Tonight, I make this promise to every woman within sound of my voice. I promise you a softer, smoother skin if you will use Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream now. If Lady Esther Face Cream were just an ordinary cream, well, I couldn't make this promise, could I? But it isn't just an ordinary cream. And if you could only read some of the letters that have come to me from women all over the country, you'd know that it isn't an ordinary face cream. These women tell me in letter after letter that Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream gives them a smoother, fresher skin than they've had in years. Yes, and a younger-looking skin, too. They say it helps remove little lines due to dryness. And they say it's simply wonderful the way it helps correct big pores, blackheads, and other skin troubles due to improper cleansing methods. You see, Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream is a different kind of cream. It asks no help of other creams or lotions, because this one cream, by itself, takes care of 4 very important needs of your skin. It cleanses your skin, softens it, smooths it, leaves a perfect, non-sticky base for makeup and powder. So if you want a really soft, smooth, young-looking skin, try Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream. See how quickly it gives your skin a new freshness and radiance. See for yourself, in your own mirror, why more and more women every day are turning to Lady Esther 4-Purpose Face Cream.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the second half of our show.
Thank you for listening to and showing your support for my podcast. If you would like to receive notifications of when new episodes are posted, please subscribe to my channel. Subscriptions are 100% free, and they really help me get an idea of how I'm doing.